The Barrel House is brought to you by you, the listener, and those of you who have chosen to support the show over at patreon.com/barrelhouse, especially our Whiskey Legend tier patrons, Greg, Katie, Lauren, and Joe. Without you, the show wouldn't be possible. Hello, and welcome to the Barrel House. Yes, and welcome back to the Barrel House live for the first time in forever. Seemingly forever. It's been a long time, but I am happy to be back. And we're going to do 2021 whiskey year in review. I've got like too many whiskeys for any one man to drink in one night all lined up here. It's all the good ones. And I've also got my pre-stream beer going here because that was a terrific idea. But I'm doing it, so here we are. But yeah, like Chris says, first time in forever. Also, the first time on the new computer setup, so this could go terribly. We'll see. Hopefully not terribly. Terribly would be not how I want this to be. Hopefully... Josh over there, you're not a man, you're a legend. I'm gonna go with that. I'll take it. Let's see. I don't even know where to start. There's so many here. I'm really excited about this. This was a really great year for whiskey for me. Some of these bottles, so like I kind of plugged it a little bit. The episode that dropped today on the feed, the podcast feed. This isn't really like an award show. This isn't whiskeys that came out this year necessarily. Some of these are going to be whiskeys that were new to me this year. Some of them are new to everybody this year. Some of them are like standbys that were on my list last year and are going to be on my list this year. These are just at the end of this year. These are the whiskeys I'm digging after trying everything. Need water already. This is a bad sign. So basically, I got 11 bottles here to talk about. So we'll be doing very small samples of these because I don't want to die. I don't want to do what Mike did last time he was here. Those of you that remember the very infamous Elijah Craig, we're not going to do that. Although Elijah Craig is on the list, we're not going to do it Mike style. You know, I knew I forgot something. I didn't grab a dump glass, so we're just going to have to leave these in their respective glasses. Mike's fine-ish now. Mike was not fine-ish about an hour after that last stream. Just in case you were wondering. So, let's start. We're going to start with actually the one that was in the episode on the feed today. You had a dump glass also, Mike, and you refused to use it. I went back and watched, and you were like pretending to dump. Yeah, you should have seen Jesus after that. So this is the bottle that was on the episode today on the main feed. This is New Riff 6-year malted rye. I'm getting way too much credit. Apparently, I'm funny and also wicked cute. I think that's a drastic exaggeration, but I will take it from Amanda. This is going to be my favorite new rye. So this isn't my favorite rye, but this is my favorite rye that hit the market this year. And I really wasn't going to put this in a category, but I really like it for the price, and I wanted to find a category to talk about it in. So I made up a category of favorite new rye. So this came out this year. It was a limited release before, I think, but this is a new staple release for New Riff. Staple release for New Riff. And this is a really good bottle. It's 100% malted rye. It's 100 proof. It's really drinkable. It's just outside the normal wheelhouse of rye whiskeys, so that if you're like kind of on the fence about ryes, it might be your jam. If you don't like ryes at all, it still won't be. But it doesn't have that dill pickle note. It's got like a minty thing going. It really smells amazing. It's got like, I said it in the episode, but I'll say it again here for those of you who haven't heard it yet. It has this like oatmeal cookie, but like the almost like the cheap kind that has like the squiggles of white frosting on the top. You know what I'm talking about. I know you do. And it's really good. It's herbal, sweet. It's definitely rye, but man, is it good. It's really good. I think if I had one complaint about it, and I mentioned this a little bit in the episode, if I had one complaint about this one, the finish and mouthfeel are so thin. Like shockingly thin for 100 proof. It doesn't like coat. It doesn't have, it feels thin. The finish is really quick, but it's also like a $50 bottle. So it's not like a crazy expensive thing. So it probably shouldn't hang with my favorite rye at the end here. That's like a $200 bottle. It is good, but I can't drink all of these. So I've got enough glasses. Oh my. Oh my. Somebody get George Takei on the line. Oh my. By the way, I don't know, Chris, if you saw this, I am actually enjoying a beer. I put it in your Discord channel there. Look, we've already covered this, Steph. I don't want to be like Mike on this. I don't want to end up hugging the porcelain throne for half the night, so. I guess I could drink all of it. It'd be a really bad idea to drink all of it. All right. Oh, man. Bad etiquette. I don't know if you could hear that. I checked the stream health on my phone, and it was just playing the stream in my pocket. I couldn't hear it, but you guys may have heard the stream playing from my phone on the mic. I don't know. It's possible. Mike, I told you to dump what you weren't drinking, and you decided you didn't want to be wasteful, and you drink all of it. That is entirely your fault. But the same bottle, the very bottle you Elijah Craig'd over here is here. So we'll get to that eventually. All right, next up on my list, there's two here. This is like a one category, two bottles thing. This is my favorite. See, Steph gets it. She knows. This is my favorite, like, new to me distillery. These both happen to be bourbons. I don't know if they do anything else. I haven't really dug into them a lot. But I didn't have anything from them until this year. And this is the Starlight Distillery out of Indiana. I've got two bottles here. They're both spectacular. This one I've barely touched, but it's because I've only had it for a few days, basically. And these guys, they're killing it. Now, I don't know. So these are both store picks from the same liquor store, and they're both barrel proof. I've never seen this anywhere else around here. Yeah, Starlight Beacon is in Indiana. Yes. I don't know if their regular releases are all 60 proof, but these are both 60 proof. Or not 60 proof, 60%. This is 120 and this is 102 proof. They're both pretty high proof. I don't know if they're all like that or if that's just the store picks, but these are fantastic. This is just straight bourbon whiskey. There's nothing special about it other than it being high proof and out of Indiana, out of Starlight. And this other one here is a sherry cask finish. Let me see if I can put these somewhere where you can see them both. Let me move my water bottle and my beer that doesn't belong on a whiskey stream, and put these so you can kind of at least see the bottles. All right, and this is the one. Ooh, that was a good cork pop. Ooh, this is the sherry cask one. Now, what I like about this sherry cask one is that it is not overpowered by the sherry. It's like actually really, so like Wyoming whiskey, fantastic whiskey. Mike's a big fan. This double cask is sherry cask finished. The sherry cask totally overpowers this whiskey. It lost all its complexity and it's basically just drinking sherry cask. This does not have that problem. What I like about this too, having these two here, is I can kind of compare them because they're roughly the same thing going in. And that sherry cask one definitely has that sweet but also musty thing that sherry has. Man, they're so good. Man, they're killing it. They're doing a spectacular job. I'm definitely going to be looking to find more of these. I hear they have I haven't had, but I hear they have a port cask one that is spectacular. So I'm going to be looking out for that one if I can come up with it. But these are also like, even at this high proof and at this quality, these are also like $50 bottles, and it's crazy to me because yes, they are definitely different colors. Steph, here, let me see if I can get these on camera in a way that you can tell. You can kind of see the sherry hue to the sherry cask one, the darker one. These things though, at $50, they're punching way above their weight. I've definitely had bourbons that were 2 or 3 times that are not as good. They're really crushing it. I'm gonna look. Yeah, you did a little bit, but that's fine. I prefer to be derailed by chat than to stand here and talk to nobody for an hour. So derail me as much as you want. Get all the derailings in. I'm derailed again. What was I about to say? I forgot. Doesn't matter. We move on. Oh, challenge accepted. I have a feeling you're going to be fine at this. Yeah, so I've had whiskeys that were like triple the cost that were not nearly as good. So they're really doing something special. I'm going to be looking. I haven't looked yet. I'm going to look to see if you can buy that stuff online from them directly, because no one around here has much. Those are the only 2 bottles I've seen here. I would like to see if they're available to ship, because I would like to buy all of it and try it. It's so good. I'm really curious to see if they have like other options, if they have ryes and whatnot. I just haven't dug into them, but I'm looking forward to having more. And Steph is correct. I did have to babysit you, Mike, but it's okay. It was totally worth it. Speaking of which, you still have possessions here to come get that you forgot in the morning because you were a disaster. So don't forget to do that at some point. You did shut down. Mike says I alarmed him on his sudden death. He did shut down real quick. He was like doing his thing, and then he said he wanted some Elijah Craig, and then he just stopped. He just stopped. In fact, I might even have that clip queued up for an audio edition here. I don't know. Could you hear that?
Elijah Craig.
Oh, look at that. One more time.
Elijah Craig.
Oh man, I'm sorry, Mike. I won't do that again. It's good though. It's good. Mike, I love you so much. I love you so much, Mike. I really do. You're the best. Oh, I've totally been worse. I've totally been worse. You've all been worse. That really wasn't, I mean, you were a mess, but it really wasn't that bad. I made a coffee and forgot it. I guess I have beer and water and, I don't know, a gallon of whiskey to drink here, so I don't really need the coffee. You did a great job. In fact, I keep telling you I'd love to have you back. I think you're waiting for like some emotional damage to subside, maybe. I don't know. Next category on the 2021 retrospective here. Best, and Josh is gonna appreciate this call out here. This is my new favorite budget bottle. I did not have my 10 coffees. I've only had like 4, and I'm definitely feeling it. My new favorite budget bottle. And this is still impossible for me to find. This is my second bottle. This is the only second bottle I've seen. I cannot get a third. And I've been like weirdly rationing it considering it's a budget bottle. Like, I don't know. But this is Scarabus. This is a real inexpensive Isla. If you can find it, it's less than 30 bucks, or right about 30 bucks, which for an Isla is insanely cheap. And I just immediately love this. It is like all the things you want out of an Isla. It just flies out of the glass with smoke. I think I got this after you were here, Mike. I don't remember if you had this or not. You may have been here for this. I have a few bottles here. It's hard to remember what each person who comes here has. Unfortunately, when you've got lots, I mean, for those of you who are new to this stream, you probably don't also know this whole wall off camera is covered. You can kind of see the edge of the shelf there. There's about 180 bottles here. I don't remember what you had, Mike. Oh man, I think I like the smell of this one better than the taste, but the smell is amazing. It really jumps out with like that earthy, smoky, meaty. Man, is it good. Dude, Isla's the best, right? What's Traveling Piper? What's your favorite? Do you have a favorite Isla? Yeah, Mike, you definitely went dark and you definitely forgot. This is really good. This is really tremendous budget Isla. It's really hard. I mean, toe to toe with like Peat Monster, I think I'd still lean Peat Monster, but Peat Monster is like twice as much, so it's not really in the budget category anymore, right? But this, I think, does it. Yeah, Mike, Traveling Piper. You guys are the pipe smokers here. I am the cigar fella. Ardbeg 10. So Ardbeg 10 is the whiskey that got me into whiskey. Coincidentally, it is not the next bottle on the list, but Ardbeg is the next bottle on the list. I'm going to have a little more of this cheap stuff first, though, because I'm not going to be able to go back to it after I hit that next bottle. All right. Yeah, I feel like I use Ardbeg 10 to get a lot of people into whiskey. I feel like, I know Josh, that was how I got, I think was that the first thing I got you to buy, Josh, or was it like in the top couple, the first couple? I don't remember. It's an easy one. It goes to the top of a lot of people's lists. The only one, I look good on any big screen, Mike, but I'm happy to be in your weird sex shed. I am a terrible influence to everybody. I have been referred to as a bad influence or a gateway person way more than once, Josh. I'm happy to have corrupted you, though. The next bottle, this is still my current favorite Isla. This is the one. Now, this is... There's a caveat here. When I say this is my favorite, I am taking into consideration not only how good it is, but the cost. Because I do have one bottle down here that is an Isla. That is my current favorite whiskey, period. But at how does that math work? 6 at 5 times the cost of this bottle. It is hard to say it is my favorite because I can have 5 of these for one of those. So this is my current favorite Isla, all things considered. And this is Ardbeg, as the astute of you can tell. This is Ardbeg Ugadal. This is the Ugadal. I am definitely here to be a corrupter. I'm here for it. I've got you covered. So the Ugadal. Let me show you this label. Let me show you this label because this deserves its time in the sun. Oh, you gotta rotate it. Ugadal. This is named after the river that feeds the distillery. And it is just the best. I think it's the best thing Ardbeg makes that I've had. And I have 8 different varieties of Ardbeg here. This is the one. This is the one. And this is basically like a higher proof Ardbeg 10 that has a bunch of sherry cask influence, which really balances it out super nicely. I mean, it is like sweet and honey, brown sugar and bacon, ultra smoky. It's got it all. I really, even at what it is, at 56.3, 54.2, that was close. 54.2%. I could pour a large glass of this and just sit with it forever. I would just be happy. This could be my one bottle for the rest of, like, if I only had this whiskey for the rest of my life, I'd be okay with it. I would totally be fine with it. I'm gonna leave this. Oh man. It smells so good. Damn, that's a good whiskey. Y'all are getting quite randy in the chat over here. Continue. Go on. Oh, this is my first stream post Clean Dome. I don't know. I don't know. It really... that should probably go away. I don't know what that is, but... somebody in here can ban that. I deleted the message, but I don't know how to do this. Bro, you know it. You know it. Thanks, Chris. I think that's my first spam. Does that mean I've made it as a YouTuber? My first live stream spam? I feel famous. All right, I need to move on. I need to move on because if I just sit here and sniff Ardbeg Ugadal all night, you all are going to get bored and I'm going to get drunk, so... take care, Steph. The Barrel House, saucy chat. Next up for us on the list this evening, my least favorite new to me this year bottles. It would have been bottle, but it's bottles because of the nature of them. You will see they are weird and, to my taste, bad. Although they're interesting in their experimental nature, I will never buy them again. For sure. No such thing, Chris. There's no such thing. And these only get one glass because I don't really care about either one of them that much. These are the Thomas S. More experimental... what the hell do they call them? Extended cask finish experimental deal. There's a Chardonnay cask and a Cabernet Sauvignon cask. And if you remember the I don't know if it did an episode. I don't think it did an episode. I think it did a live stream about them. I don't remember. It's all the same. They are, instead of like 3 months in a finishing cask, they're like 6 years. And that means these taste weirdly too much like wine. Like too much like wine. Like there's a weird amount of wine influence on these, which is interesting in the way that's like, if you want to find out what a finishing cask is like, these are here. The Thomas S. More extended finish. All right, take care, Mike. I just think it's too much wine. It's not for me. It really tastes like somebody poured half a glass of whiskey, half a glass of wine. It's so winey. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and repurpose one of these. Sorry about breathing into the mic. It's an accident. Don't freak out. We'll hit the other one here quick. I think it's the other one. I don't know. They're both bad, so. They smell great. They both smell great. I'll give you that. But I just don't want them. I just don't want them at all. No, they're just not for me. They're not gross. They're not like this bottle here. Worst bottle in the bar. That's at the end. Some of you will already know what that is. It's not that, but it's bad. It's bad. It's not my style. Some people will definitely like this. I'm not one of them. Mike left a moment too soon. Our next category is the Mike category. Oh, the packaging on Scarabus is remarkably fancy for a $30 bottle. Bro, crack it open. Tell us what you think live on the stream. Even if it's just a little bit. I don't know what your ability to pound some whiskey is right now, but you should fill us in. I'm jealous you were able to get it. I've just got this one bottle here that I'm like rationing out. I hate rationing cheap whiskey. That feels wrong. I mean, to be fair, like I said on the last live stream that I talked about it on, it does have signs of youth. There are flavors in it that are signs of youth, but you can't get anywhere near that level of smoke and character for an Isla for that price anywhere else. It's fantastic. For the price, hard to beat. Hard to beat for the price. I mean, it's more than $20 a bottle less than Ardbeg 10 is. It's almost half the price. Before we continue on to the last four categories, the big four, the fun four, I have to do my due diligence here. I got to thank everybody that supports the show over at Patreon. Like at the top of the show in the intro you heard. This show, all the stuff, all the whiskey, all the gear, it's all possible because a few of you out there in the world find it necessary or defendable to throw a little money my way to help keep this going. It means the world. It makes this possible. So especially the Whiskey Legend tier patrons, Greg, Katie, Lauren, and Joe, carrying way more than their fair share of the weight. It helps hugely make this all happen. So thank you all very much. And if you don't believe me,
don't forget to smash that subscribe button and follow me on Patreon.
Got to listen to him. He knows what's best. So once again, patreon.com/barrelhouse for anybody that wishes to help. If not, just keep showing up. That's all I really care about. Back to the show. Next on the list, my favorite bourbon, full stop, of the year. Now, I put of the year on this because this is a bourbon that came out this year. It is not my favorite release of this bourbon, but the batched nature, thanks Chris for putting the link in there. The batched nature of this of this bottle means that my favorite release of this of all time is no longer available anywhere, no matter what. So this is my favorite batch from this year. Slight caveat, I was unable to find the third batch. I only was able to get my hands on the first two, the A and B batches. The C has eluded me this year. I looked high and low from mountaintop to river bottom, and I could not find the C batch of Elijah Craig barrel proof, but the A batch was definitely better than the B batch this year, and that means the A121 Elijah Craig barrel proof takes my favorite bourbon release from this year. This is 12 years old, hefty age on a bourbon. That's a good age on a bourbon. It's barrel proof, uncut, no chill filter. It's 123.6 proof. This is a fantastic bottle. The B520 I think was better. The B520, which was last year's second release, had this, like, I have a little tiny bit left over there. Had this like toasted marshmallow brown sugar thing that was like almost too good to actually be whiskey. It like didn't make sense. This is a great bottle though. This is the A121. I said that already, but I'm saying it again. Elijah Craig also doing the thing I love and putting that top on the bottle. That is the best top for pouring. I have never spilled a drop with that kind of top. Doesn't dribble. It's magic. It's a magical top. Amanda, I think you're going to have to prove that. I think I'm going to need you to prove that. If I recall, which I know I do, you are primarily a screwball girl, and that is definitely not 124 proof. Oh, man, this is so good. There's your call out. Oh, I am so happy that I did the smart thing and bought a second unopened bottle of this. This is delicious. My man. So Josh got into that. For those of you not reading the chat, Josh got into that Scarabus, and he says he didn't know what I meant when I said it had some youth to it, but he can tell now that he's had it. A little more that rubbing alcohol burn than the 10, for sure. But the peat, exclamation point, it is so peaty. For a cheap whiskey, it's so peaty. And when I say youth, you get a little more of the alcohol than you're expecting, especially for the proof. Also, you get what a lot of people refer to as like green note, which you might not pick up if you're not really into whiskey. You might be able to, Josh. I know you've had an Ardbeg 10 enough. You might be able to pick it out. When I say green note, I mean when you taste it, there's like hints of like a grassiness to it. It's just little things that usually age out of it over time. I don't think that makes it bad. I just think it is like the difference maker between it and like an Ardbeg 10 or an Ugadal or our next bottle, which is a far different beast. But I'm going to enjoy this barrel proof for a minute while you all continue to be incredibly inappropriate. And I'll move on to the next one in a second. I just really want to get into this A121 a hair more because, man, is it good. I really wish I'd gotten the C batch of this. Every time I have this, I think maybe I missed out on something. I mean, the C920, the last year's C batch was delicious. I didn't get a bottle. I got it at a bar once. But I wasn't even able to find it at a bar. It was just gone. It just didn't exist for me. It's good though. It's very, very good. All right. We're getting on to the big guns here. All right, what should I do next? I'm gonna let the chat decide. I'm gonna give you a minute. Best bottle, full stop, doesn't matter. Price means nothing. Or worst bottle, doesn't matter. Price means nothing. What's next? Somebody's got to answer. Dr. Crow. It's not the old crow, but that is worst is first. All right, I'm gonna take that as 2 votes for worst. We're gonna do it. We're going Old Tub. Worst bottle in the bar. Worst bottle in the bar. Now, it was a contender with Old Crow, but at the end of the day, Old Crow, I think, is worse when you drink a lot of it. But if you take a little bit at a time, it's tolerable. Old Tub, not tolerable. Some of you may have remembered when I did this is still one of my worst internet moments. When I did the What Whiskey is Best on the Rocks episode, and I did a big pour of Old Tub on the rocks. Because as many of you know, if my likes and concurrent viewers match, I do the bottle rip of Old Tub. And likes and viewers matched, so I did a big old tub on the rocks, and I took this big swig of it and I straight up gagged and spit up a little bit, and it's probably my worst internet moment. It might be my worst internet moment. So never doing that again. And this even smells bad. This may seem like an exaggeration. I'll start with the whiskey notes. It's got a touch of brown sugar, cinnamon. Absolutely no barrel. It's a little dusty. And then I swear it's got a little bit of butthole on the nose. It's got like a sulfuric kind of smell that reminds me a little bit of a fart. I mean, honestly, I don't even want to drink it, but I will. I mean, it's not as good as what was, Josh, you always remember, what was my EGM Discord launch quote with the monster? And you know, I haven't had Sexton. I keep seeing it. The bottle looks interesting, but I just, for whatever reason, it doesn't make me want to have it. I just haven't done it. I've not heard good things. Maybe someday I should buy some. just to go in the bar. I mean, I'd love to just not drink this, but in the spirit of the show, Slanja, it does smell like a butthole. Ugh. Yeah. Ugh. That's right. I'm gonna get a pizza, a 6-pack of Monster, and a bottle of Jameson and fuck this shit up. That's right. I did too. I came out of that weekend with way more Discord points than anybody else. I'm not doing any more of that. That legit gave me chills. I'm gonna need at least 2 more likes before I have any more of that. All right, I'm gonna do my favorite rye of the year and then my favorite bottle full stop after that. I think that's a fair way to wrap this up. Well, at least the review. I'll hang out for a little while after that if y'all are still hanging out. My favorite rye of the year. This is my favorite rye, period. This a little bit of money doesn't matter on this one. Not fully. MSRP on this bottle is like $100. I think at $100, this is a great favorite rye. A lot of places, you're all gonna want to see the bottle. I don't know why I put it back. A lot of places are charging like $2 for it. I wouldn't pay I didn't pay $2 for it. I wouldn't pay $2 for it. This is Michter's Barrel Strength Rye. This comes out like once every 3-ish years, 3-4 years, depending. And this is a rye that has some of the rye typical rye notes, but has a lot of non-typical rye notes mixed in, and it really adds a lot of complexity and deliciousness. And also, it's barrel proof, and I am a barrel proof whore. The higher the proof, the more I like it. I don't know, I'm broken. I just like to not feel, I guess. Crank the proof up, turn the feelings down, I guess. I don't know. That is so good. I think the thing I like most about this is the like super dark chocolate. Like it's almost like baking cocoa note. It really adds like a deep richness to it, and I'm here for it. I am here for it. Was the Elijah Craig Barrel Proof one of the ones I sent you in that Titanic game, Josh, or no? I don't remember. If not, your next board game might have some. That's very good. It was in there, wasn't it? I mean, you're going to get a new game anyways. Don't worry. But if you want more, I'll send it in that one too. I just haven't found the right new game yet. Maybe to stay in keeping tone with that Titanic game, maybe I'll wait to find a Matrix Resurrections board game. Oh, what hot garbage. Sorry, I don't want to spoil our reactions episode, but god damn. That's a totally natural place to plug the film appraisers. We just had a Christmas special, a Spider-Man reaction show go up. We're doing a Matrix Resurrections reaction show. And I think we're probably going to do, right? I don't know if we decided for sure or not, but I think we're probably going to do some extra Spider-Man reactions just for the patrons over there. So if you haven't already checked that out, I don't know what you're doing with your life, but go check out Film Appraisers because that shit slaps. Unlike Matrix Resurrections. The boat sank and the movie sucked. Yeah, what Chris said also, check out Cantina Cast reaction show for the Book of Boba Fett at 9 Central tonight. Cough. Hey, I'll give you my reaction real quick. I thought it was okay. I thought it was okay. There's my reaction. It wasn't bad. It wasn't great. It was okay. It was good. I'll say good. I won't go any further with my reactions though. Yeah, I won't. I don't want to like step on any toes here, you know. So I'll leave it with, it was between okay and good, but not great. I'll put it there. Yeah, it's fine. It was fine. It was fine. I don't like having feelings. Feelings are bullshit, so I'll leave it there. All right, we're on to the bottle of the year for me, personally. Everyone's taste is different. I get that. This is my bottle of the year. This one is definitely not taking cost into consideration. Some of you may remember, I know Josh, I believe, had some. Oh, I'm tethered. I'm tethered. This was my bottle of the year for last year. This is the Octomore 11-1. Sorry, did not mean to burp into the mic. My bad. I mean, listen, you're entitled to your opinion, but feelings, whew, we'll leave it there. So this was the 11-1 Octomore. So those of you who don't know, how Octomore works. 11.1 means it's the 11th release. 11. The point one is, let me see if I get this right. This could be wrong. Asterisks. I believe though. The point one is Scottish barley, 100% Scottish barley, aged in American oak. Point two is 100% Scottish barley, aged in European oak. Point three is 100% Isla barley, aged in some mixture of American and European oak. Could be all American, could be all European, or some mixture in between, but it is all Isla barley, not just Scottish, but all Isla from the, I believe it's even the Octomore farm local to the Brooklotic distillery. This year's bottle is the Octomore 12.3. This one is a astounding 62.1% alcohol. The peat parts per million are a little bit lower this year on this bottle. What is it? It's like, it's on here somewhere. Where is it? They always put it on here somewhere. 118 as opposed to, this one was like 130 something. 139. The difference is almost imperceivable as far as smoke goes, but this is delicious. This is also not an inexpensive bottle, so we're going to go with a small pour and we're going to finish it. We're going to finish it. Oh, bro, this is very blue cheese. I love, Josh, I love that you know this. I love that I did this to you. This has like, so Octomore is very proteiny. The smoke goes so far beyond smoke, it gets that like blue cheese peat, like Josh said. This almost smells, I swear, if you're not a whiskey person, you're going to think this is absurd thing to say. This almost smells like a bacon blue cheeseburger. Like I can smell the meatiness and the protein of the burger. I get that blue cheese of the peat. It's smoky, like char grilled smoky. It's got some of that rich depth that bacon has. It's pretty spectacular. I'm here for it, as they say. Lies? What's lies? Which is my description of the whiskey lies, or all of this negative talk about feelings lies? I'm looking at you, Amanda. All eyes. Everyone in chat is staring at you for an explanation of your bold accusations. This bottle, by the way, I believe MSRP was like $2. And you can find it, depending on how credible your local liquor store is, for between that $2 and like $350 or $400. I would never go. So here's the thing. There was a time like 2 years ago where paying twice as much for Octomore as sticker price was almost reasonable because it was really hard to get. But with the tariffs and regulations on Scotch lifting a little bit, you can just go on Brooklogic's website and order this. You have to pay $40 shipping and wait. But would I rather spend $40 on shipping than spend an extra $150 to some liquor store with no conscience? Yes, I would. So that's how I would play that. If you're interested in this and you can't find it locally, buy it from Brooklogic, have it shipped to you. Do not spend $400 at a liquor store. It just doesn't make sense anymore. Just don't do it. It's crazy. So Amanda asked, how can I smell the burger? What? Elaborate on that question. Do you mean what smell smells like a burger, or why does it have burger smell to it? If that question makes sense to you. That is so delicious. It's unreasonably good. On the palate, so on the palate, you don't get the burger. On the palate is way more rich smoke. Blue cheese for sure. There's like a honey sweetness to it. Maybe like a honey glaze. There is actually, you want a link to it? I mean, geez. Let me find a link to this thing. New window. See how this all goes. I'm honestly very happy this computer hasn't lit on fire or anything, because this is the first time streaming on it. And I was so concerned about how it would hold up, make sure all my settings were right and everything. I mean, it took me a while to get the last computer set up, and I thought I remembered everything, but I wasn't sure. All right, so let's go Octomore. Let's use the Googles. Brooklogic.com. This is the 12.3, Josh. It is, I mean, the 12.1 I'm sure is also delicious. This is, the only difference really between the 12.3 and the 12.1 is that it is all Islay barley instead of Scottish barley. And I'm 34 for 3 more hours. Fuck. All right, Octomore 12. Octomore 12.3, discover. There's your link. There's the bottle. And I believe you hit buy now on that. Opens up a thing. $2.89. $2.89 is the recommended price for this bottle, the MSRP. Hey, anything for you. And you know what I haven't done that I'm curious about? I'm gonna do the most expensive AB I've ever done. I'll put a little bit of this back, a little more of this, and just a touch. And a little bit of this 11-1. Oof. This 11-1 is getting thin. It's nice to have glasses on the ready. I've not compared these back to back. Now the 11-1 is only 59.4 instead of 62.1, I think. But it's peatier. They're both 5 years old. And that is Scottish barley versus Islay barley. There's a noticeable difference in smoke on the nose. I'm going to say that. I didn't think there would be, but all you can smell on the nose in the 11-1 is smoke. I shouldn't say that. There's other notes, but primarily, it's very much primarily smoke. The 12-3 opens up to a few more notes a little more readily. 12-3 is sweeter. 11-1, definitely earthier. Almost like a soil on a rainy day. Or soil after a spring rain kind of a note. It's about the same difference in the palate. The 12-3, the slightly less smoke. I mean, it is still 6 times smokier than like an Ardbeg 10. So we're still talking very smoky. But that little reduction in the ppm allows for some of those other notes to come forward a little more. I'm getting a little more of the sweetness, a little more of the protein. There's like a honey, like that like super dark artisanal bullshit honey that you get in like the fancy, like in like a mason jar at a farmer's market, like that real dark honey on the 12-3. Almost a sickly sweet, like it's super sweet, but it's counteracted by like a ton of smoke and a ton of protein, a lot of heft. Is really good. The 11-1, to contrast it, way more of the smoke. The sweetness takes a back seat. Little bit more tannic. The barrel tannins look coming in a little bit hot. It's really, I mean, they're both delicious. I'm going to take this last couple of drops. I'm going to make them one. They're both Octomore. Which one would I buy if I had to buy only one? That's a really difficult choice, to be honest. I think I would lean towards the 12-3. I think all things, if the proof was exactly the same, I think it'd be a dead draw. Slightly different flavor profiles, but both very good. I think having the slightly higher proof in the 12-3 falls a little bit more in my wheelhouse because I like that heat. I like that hot heat. And the 12-3 definitely does that. I can't believe I made it through 12 whiskeys and beer, and I'm not destroyed. I did a good job. Look at me with some self-restraint tonight. It's magic. That's never happened before. What is going on? They're really good together. They make a great pair. All right, give me 45 seconds. I will be right back. I'm here with my coffee. Oh, I missed Josh's exit. In case you're watching this later, Josh, thank you very much. I appreciate the birthday wishes. All right, I'm going to do the thing at the end of every live stream where I open it up for questions, comments, concerns, any of those things. You want to know about a specific whiskey, you see anything here, or you have a question about a particular flavor or whatever, I'm here for you. You let me know. Thanks, Chris, man. I'll tell you, this birthday, I got mixed feelings on this one. I feel old now. Like, I feel like old is I'm getting to the point where old is a reality. I know everybody who's like 2 years older than me or more is going to be like, oh, you're still plenty young, but I feel how I feel. Yeah, it just, like, I think a lot of my friends had this like existential thing for their 30th. I feel like 30 is when people have that like first existential like, oh, I'm 30. What am I doing with my life thing? And I didn't really have it at 30. Maybe a touch, but it didn't really land. But 35, it's just there. Yeah, like I'm feeling the thing I think most people feel at 30, but at 35. If that makes sense to anybody out there, I don't know. Late bloomer, I guess, I don't know. Dirty 30 and big 35. I feel like big 35 makes me feel even older. I don't know. I think that lands. I think I'd rather it be dirty 35, but that doesn't rhyme as well. So and what am what am I doing? I just looked down. I have a water, a coffee, half a beer, 10 glasses that still have whiskey in them, and a cheap cigar. And then like uncharacteristic fashion, I'm having what, like my second cigar in a week. I almost never have more than like one a month. But here I am, just experiencing all the vices all at once. All of them. Beer, whiskey, coffee, cigars. What else could I possibly add to this to make it worse? 35 is the new 25. I think 25 is the new 25. No, I know I'm not. And honestly, I'm in better health and a better place and better shape. All of those things than I was at 25. So I wouldn't go back to 25. 28. I feel like 28, 29 was like, was that my prime? Was that my prime and I didn't know it when I was there? Vice overload. Yeah, I'm definitely piling the vices on here. I know Amanda says I'm not in my prime yet, and I know that's true because she spelled your with a P. So it's gotta be 100% right. Nothing says I'm a good guy like calling out a simple typo. Please feel free to tell me to go fuck myself now. Traveling Piper. So I know you like Ardbeg 10 and you've got some Sexton you're not a big fan of. What else do you like? What else are you outside of Isla? Let's say outside of Isla, What do you like? I'm curious. Maybe I can recommend you a good one you haven't had yet. I'd like to be a bad influence. I want to talk you into spending more money on whiskey. I'm here to do that. Just a reminder for everybody watching this now. Those of you who will be listening to it later will already know this, but reminder, these live streams are going up in audio form on the podcast feed now. So if you want to hear these, if you were here for a bit and you want to hear the rest of it or whatever, subscribe, barrelhouspodcast.com, sub to the podcast feed. You'll get it right in your whatever podcast review you use, iTunes, Apple Podcasts, or Pocket Casts, or whatever you might use. Spotify, it's everywhere. You can get it there. I think I'm even on Audible now. Woodford is really good though. So Woodford is really, I have some here. Woodford Reserve. Woodford this is their double oaked. If he hasn't had the double oaked, so Amanda says her friend's boyfriend is really into Woodford, but wants a more sophisticated taste. If he hasn't had the double oaked, that is like a good way to take it one step further at a time, right? You go from the regular Woodford Reserve to the Woodford double oaked, and that's a nice, like, step up, like a half step up, right? The double oaked means it is aged in new oak barrels, like all bourbon is, and then it is taken out of those and then put into fresh barrels and aged a little bit longer in some more new oak barrels. Double oaked, two oaks. It gives it a little more character. If you want to go more sophisticated from a whiskey like this, really there's a billion ways to go. And the proper way to do that, there's no proper quote unquote way to do that. The best way to do it is to explore. So what I would recommend from there, right? If you really like Woodford, but you want to try some new stuff, what I recommend going in that direction is to start looking. Woodford double oaked, we'll say, is around $50 a bottle. So I usually go from like regular Woodford, which is I think like the $30 bottle range. What I recommend to people who want to try to branch out some is to jump up to that $50 bottle range and start trying. Some examples. Old Forester 1897. That's a great step in one direction from Woodford. This is a less sweet, less rich, more barrel, higher proof, that direction. It's more oaky, more, to me, when I think of like oak and complexity, I think more character. It's a little bit heftier. That's not his direction. You look at something like a Russell's Reserve single barrel. This is a very sweet, very easy, higher proof, a little bit older whiskey. Try that direction. If you want to go, if that is a little bit much, you can always try something like Old Grandad 114. This is a cheap bottle. This is like $30. It's high proof. It's really heavily in that like spicy direction. Cinnamon, brown sugar, barrel char, high proof. It's got a good kick to it. There's a lot of ways to move from Woodford up, or Woodford out, I should say, not up, because Woodford's really good, but there's so many directions from there. Think of it like I always in my head imagine it like we'll say Woodford for this example, in the middle with like the red string going in every direction to all these different choices. You could even go to like an Eagle Rare if you want to go the Buffalo Trace route. Eagle Rare is a 10-year-old, really good high character bottle, but this is, if you can find it, it's like $33 a bottle MSRP. This is a great bottle. So you can really move in a lot of directions. If you really don't care, if you're willing to spend money, like $60, $70, $80 a bottle, look at an Elijah Craig Barrel Proof. Look at a Blood Oath. Look at, you really want to branch out. This Joseph Magnus triple finish is tremendous. I love this bottle. This is a $100 bottle, but it is so good. So good. This is basically, it's a 10-year-old bourbon. They split it up. They aged it 10 years in new oak barrels, split it up into thirds. A third goes to Pedro Jimenez sherry cask. A third goes to Oloroso sherry cask, and a third goes to ex-cognac casks. Spend about 3 months in those, and then they remarry them together and then bottle it. And this is a tremendous bottle. It's super complex, lots of flavors. This is a great bottle. $100 a bottle I know is kind of steep for a lot of people. It's kind of steep for me, to be honest. But for what it is, if you really want to move up in complexity and sophistication from a Woodford, this Joseph Magnus triple finish. And the cool, Joseph Magnus also has a great story. I'm going to tell you this Joseph Magnus story real quick, and then I'm going to go on to Traveling Piper's Irish whiskey stuff here. Joseph Magnus, back in the day when Jefferson's Ocean, great suggestion from Traveling Piper. That's a very interesting whiskey that's also got a great story. So Joseph Magnus first, Jefferson Oceans, then we'll go to Traveling Piper here. So Joseph Magnus, he was like an entrepreneur in the late 1800s. And at the time, bourbon was kind of like, if you weren't in Kentucky, what bourbon was, because you think of like what it meant to travel to carry a giant barrel of bourbon to like New Mexico or Texas at that point in time. It was expensive, and you couldn't charge people enough per glass to really make any money on bourbon. So what a lot of bourbon was a splash of bourbon in some vodka with some like spices to make the flavors, right? So it'd be like a little bit of bourbon, a bunch of vodka, and some tea and some cinnamon and sugar and maybe some like oregano, like whatever spices they wanted to kind of give it some kick. And it was really just trash, but that's what it was. That's what Old West bourbon was. Joseph Magnus decided he wanted to make a premium bourbon for a premium clientele. So he made this bourbon, and he did these like guerrilla marketing things where he like would dress up with his friends in very fancy suits and go to like fancy establishments and order his bourbon. And when they didn't have it, him and his friends would leave. So everyone would be like, oh, we need to find that and have it. If these guys are willing to leave, it was really ingenious. And that actual first whiskey was called, this is this bottle. This is the Murray Hill Club whiskey. Now, Joseph Magnus went on to make the triple finish and all that. And then during Prohibition, he went out of business. And his great grandchild found his journal with all of his aging and finishing techniques in it and started in like 2014, 13, I forget the year, and started making his whiskey again the way he used to. And it's really great. And it's a cool story to tell while you're pouring it. Jefferson's Ocean, another great choice, like Traveling Piper, great pull on that. And that's cool because each bottle has a different voyage written on it. And with how they age that, they put that in barrels. They put the barrels on ships, and the ships travel the oceans delivering other things with these barrels on them. And the whiskey ages at sea. Jefferson's Ocean ages at sea. And each voyage, you can look up what each voyage is and see where that whiskey went in its aging process. And that's a really interesting, really neat way to not just age the whiskey, but also to attach a story to the whiskey. I've said it before, presentation and story makes a huge difference with anything. If I poured you Joseph Magnus Triple Finish in a solo cup and told you it was cheap whiskey and had you drink it, you would automatically think it's okay. You just would. Your brain would take over your prejudices and your past experiences and the presentation, the solo cup, all of those things would add up to you being like, it was fine for a cheap whiskey. But if I served it to you in a fancy glass out of a decanter and told you this long story about Joseph Magnus, you would love it because your brain would fill in the cracks. It would find a reason to love it, and it would altogether add to the experience. The experience is way more important than most people realize. Now, having that Jefferson's Ocean backstory makes a difference. It just makes a difference. So having that, doing that is a great way to add to the quality of the whiskey. Now, Irish whiskeys. So I asked, 20 minutes ago before my rant, I asked Traveling Piper about what else he liked. And he said Irish whiskeys. He likes some Highland Park Scotch as well, the Magnus. So I'm hit or miss on Highland Park. The Magnus, I think, is pretty good. I'm not a big fan of the 12-year, the bottom line one, which is now like the Viking Honor, I think they call it. I don't know. The bottle I have is old enough that they hadn't rebranded it. It was just Highland Park 12. I think they have like Viking Honor or Viking something or Valkyrie Honor or something like that on it. Not a huge fan. It's okay. Going in that peated whiskey direction, there are a dozen bottles I like more. Lindsay, I haven't heard from you in a long time. How have you been? And yes, Traveling Piper, atmosphere and presentation make a huge difference. If I'm going smoky, honestly, I go Ardbeg, then I go Lagavulin, then I go Colilla, then I go Lafroig, then Connemara, which is Irish, but it's peated, and then Highland Park. Highland Park is a little bit further down the list for me. Just the way it presents, it's a little bit sickly to me. Like, all I can think of when I have it is that it is just sickly sweet behind all that. And it's not my direction. Now, if we're talking, I'm good, Lindsay. I've been crazy busy, but I've been pretty good. Now, if we're talking Irish, give me your top 3 Irish, Piper. I know Sexton isn't one of them, for sure. For me, when I think of Irish, I have like a couple here. So my favorite cheap Irish is Jameson Black Barrel. It's about $30, $35 here. I think that is a huge step up from the Jameson. It's a lot more character. I really like the wood influence. Standard Jameson to me is lacking a lot of everything. It's good. It's fine for the price, but it's very one note. It's very simple. It's very... It doesn't have like the wood influence and the char and the depth that I'm looking for. It's kind of two-dimensional. It's good, but it's kind of two-dimensional. So if I go cheaper Irish, I say Black Barrel. A step up from there, for me, price-wise, I go to like the $50 range. It's Green Spot. Have you ever had Green Spot? Oh, hold on. Let me turn this a little bit and try to get it in focus. Whoop. Green Spot. You ever had Green Spot? Green Spot is outside of the bounds of typical Irish whiskey. Green Spot has some like coconut cream and green apple and a bunch of flavors you don't normally get in Irish, but it does also still have that like shortbread cookie and preserves kind of base you get out of typical Irish. Lindsay, I'm still waiting for you to come be a guest on the show. I told you, like, I don't know, at some point in life that you could be a guest on the show. Yeah, I think Black Barrel is a good step up from the Jameson. Green Spot's my next step up from there. Green Spot maybe like a top 2 or 3 Irish for me. It's like $55 a bottle. Depending on what you think is reasonable to spend on a bottle, it could be a little bit much. It is really good though. I'm a big fan of it at that price point. And then if I go all the way to the top, my favorite. Now I should say, Green Spot is from the same distillery. Almost. Oh, she could totally come. Ariana could definitely come. It would be a blast to have the two of you at the same time on here. It would be maybe too much to handle, but I would do my best. Green Spot is cool. I mean, almost all Irish whiskey comes from the Middleton Distillery, Jameson included. Green Spot, it's from Mitchell & Sons. And Blue Spot here, I think, is my favorite Irish entirely, but it's $100 a bottle. But it's cask strength, and it's very similar to Green Spot, except for higher proof and a little more depth because of it. Mitchell & Sons started as like a fancy cafe that imported and sold wine in Ireland. And they had all these wine barrels just kind of laying around because they were importing all this wine, selling it at their cafe. And then they had these barrels that they didn't have any, they were just throwing them out, using them for firewood, whatever. They were just sitting there. And at one point, I believe the son, I could be wrong, it might have been the father, I think it was the son though, had the great idea that if they sent the barrels up to the Jameson at the time, Jameson Distillery, and had them fill them, they could age the whiskey a little bit in their wine barrels and then create their own product and sell it at the cafe. Being Ireland, whiskey was popular, right? This was like the 1800s, I believe. So they started doing that, and they started marking the barrels to keep track of how long they were going to age them with paint stamps. Green Spot, Blue Spot. Blue Spot is 7 years cask strength. There is a yellow spot, which is 12, I believe, and a red spot that's 15. Those could be wrong numbers, but that's where the spots came from. And it's a really great product. My favorite Irish. Next step up. And this is my favorite Irish. When I say favorite Irish, I mean, this is my favorite Irish that is just like down the middle. These are all the Irish whiskey flavors. The red fruit preserves like strawberry, raspberry preserves on shortbread cookie. It's got all of those things. This is Redbreast cask strength 12 year. And this is basically the big difference between this and a Jameson is one, it's pot stilled instead of column stilled, which if you don't know, I can explain the difference. It's pot stilled instead of column stilled. So it's much oilier. It's much richer in flavor, and it is just delightful. I love this. So what do you think of Jameson Cask Mates IPA and Stout? I love the Stout Cask Mates. IPA one wasn't for me, but I also don't particularly care for IPAs. I prefer stouts. I think the Cask Mates Stouts was a really great marriage of Irish whiskey and stout. Although I would say, if you've not seen it or heard of it, have you seen, Piper, this year's Offerman edition Lagavulin? If you haven't seen, sorry, I'm answering a whiskey question. This year's Lagavulin Offerman edition. Have you seen any of the Lagavulin Offerman editions? Nick Offerman, those of you who don't know, is of Parks and Rec fame, was Ron Swanson. There's a whole episode where he goes to Lagavulin Distillery for that. He's a huge fan in real life. And this year around Father's Day, he's done a couple of collabs with them. They've all been 11 years old. I believe they've all been 11 years old. This year, for Father's Day, he did a collaboration with them where he did an 11-year-old Lagavulin finished in Guinness casks because his father's a big Guinness fan. And this bottle is really, I think, the best stout whiskey collab I've ever had. This has like all of the Lagavulin smoke and peat and depth. It's It's got that like Lago, the way Lagavulin smoke is to me, it's almost like diesel fuel. And I mean that in the most positive way. It's got all of that, but then it has like that dark roast coffee and cocoa from Guinness. The creaminess. It is. I don't think I've had a whiskey that married any kind of beer cask finish with whiskey better than this does. Unfortunately, this was kind of a limited release. All these are. It's a little bit hard to find. It's not impossible though, and it's not crazy expensive either. So if you can find it, I believe it's like $65 a bottle, something like that. If you're a fan of the stout finished whiskeys, and I know you like Isla, look for that. It's really good. It's really, really good. I'm telling you, I think everything I've tried to sell Charlie Piper on, I've sold them on. I'm a terrible influence. I just talk people into spending money on whiskey, but that's my job. I love it. What were your thoughts on the IPA and stout Jamesons? I didn't ask, but I'm curious what you thought of them. Like I said, I loved the stout one. I really didn't like the IPA one, but I'm not a big IPA guy. I drink them. I like them enough that like I'll never turn one away. But if I go to the store and I'm buying beers for my house, it's never, well, I shouldn't say never. It's almost never an IPA. Occasionally I'll grab IPAs for like summer or something when I want something a little bit more crisp and refreshing, but typically it's stout for me. This, by the way, for anybody local-ish, is Thomas Hooker triple chocolate truffle stout with Munson's chocolate. It is delicious. The only reason I haven't crushed it is because I'm trying to pace myself so that I don't black out on stream and make a fool of myself. And with the amount of vices I've got going on here, it's pace yourself o'clock for sure. Yeah, the stout cask or the stout cask mates Jameson, like Piper said, I thought was much better than the regular Jameson. It has a really pleasant creaminess to it. Goes down very easy. Yeah, and like he says, an IPA is good with a really good burger. I go out with my two best friends for dinner every Thursday. We have for fucking forever. And I typically get a really solid burger and we get a pitcher IPA. It's a great combo. The problem with stouts when you're trying to eat a big burger and some fries and hang out is that you fill up quick on them, for sure. They are definitely heavy. This thing is delicious, but it is so thick and it's so rich. Which is probably good because it's kind of forcing me to slow down. All right, the real question. Piper says stout with a steak. The real question here. How do you like your steak cooked? And I don't mean to alarm you, but I'm going to judge your character based on your answer. So, it better be the right answer. Lindsay coming in with a medium rare. I honestly didn't expect that from you, Lindsay. I didn't. I was gonna say, if I had to guess for you, I would have said well done. Amanda with a medium rare, more rare. Again, wouldn't have expected that. Would have come in a little bit more on like the medium well, medium range for you. That is offensive. You're right. I'm an absolute asshole. I don't know why I thought you'd be a well done person, Lindsay, but I definitely pegged you as a well done person. I don't know why. I don't know what it was, but that's where I would have landed for you. Well done is a crime, for sure. I am a rare, maybe a little bit medium rare, closer to rare person. Lindsay, I apologize. I don't know why. I was terribly wrong. I've made an inexcusable error, but I hope someday you find it in your heart to forgive me for assuming you'd be a well done person. I think, Piper, medium is like, if I go to a restaurant and I order a medium rare and it comes out medium, I'll eat it. If I order a medium rare and it comes out medium well, that's about when I'm like, this is not what I wanted. Send it back. Medium's acceptable. It's a little bit more that I like it almost purple in the middle still, which is, I know, gross for a lot of people, but I like it almost purple. I like it, like Amanda says, I like it mooing. All right, what's everybody's favorite cut? We got a lot of bone-in ribeye people here. We got a lot of porterhousers. Where are we at? What's our steak cut of choice? I like just a fucking big, thick, hefty bone-in ribeye. I know it's not necessarily the best cut, but man, I like it. I like it a lot. Like that thick. T-bones are also, I like it like that thick so that like the outside is charred and the inside is still like almost cool. Beautiful. Beautiful. Yeah, I definitely always go of like about as low. Like I usually order rare when I order at a restaurant because I know they're gonna overcook it a little bit. Like Piper says, always order one step down at a restaurant. Ribeyes are really good. Ribeye, especially a good bone-in ribeye, like you get that grill like scorching hot. You get a big, thick bone-in ribeye. You put it at a 45-degree angle across the grates on the grill, like 2 minutes. Rotate it 45 so that you get that crisscross. 2 minutes, flip it 2 minutes, rotate it 2 minutes. You're like 8 minutes of cooking, super hot. The outside is scorched. The inside still super soft, a little bit cooked. Beautiful. It's perfect. I'm getting hungry thinking about it. It doesn't get any better than that. I wish I had one ready to go right now. I eat it right now. Make you all watch me eat it. These are shockingly good cigars for $4 a shot. Oh, now I have another question about food. How's everybody like their potatoes? Amanda says with mashed potatoes. I am not super selective with my potatoes. If it's a potato, I love it. But with a steak, my order is roasted. I go roasted baby potatoes first. And this is how I do it. When I make it at home, I lay a bunch of baby potatoes out, whatever, the little tiny fingerlings, whatever they're called, the little ones, like that big, on a baking pan. And then I sprinkle them with cut up bacon and butter. And then I roast those with a little bit of garlic and pepper, garlic, salt, and pepper. Boom. Number one with my steak. Number two is a big baked potato filled with sour cream, bacon, and chives. And number three is a mashed potato, but they are like a good garlic mash. But I mean, those are like 1A, 1B, 1C, like they're very close. I love them all. Anything else comes after that. I mean, I like, what do they call the, I'm drawing a blank here. What are those called? Au gratin comes after that. Like, although like there's a bunch of ways to make potatoes, they're all delicious. But I'm a big fan of like them bacony roasted fingerling potatoes. Thank you, Amanda, for clarifying what they're actually called. I wasn't sure. I drawn a blank. Piper says homemade chips. When you make homemade chips, thick cut or thin cut? It's an important question. Same with fries. Everybody's thoughts on fries. thin fries or big steak fries? Where do we land? As a group, where do we land? I am a steak fry guy. Big, thick steak fries. And Lindsay says mashed potatoes are greater than everything. What? Lindsay, tell me about your mashed potatoes. Are they just like mashed potatoes with a pat of butter on them? Do you put like cream and butter and cheese in them? What's your mashed potato? Are they fork mashed or are they hit with a beater? Amanda says shoelace, skinny, crispy fries. Ah, you're wrong. It's steak fries. You've made the wrong choice. It's big, thick, medium fry, like big, thick, meaty fries. I said medium because I read Piper's comment. They are medium cut. I like big, thick, like cut a potato into like 6 slices and make fries out of it. I want my fries to be like chunky boys like me. Quick reminder, the Barrel House Podcast has all kinds of merch, including masks for your latest COVID outbreak, or notebooks if you'd like to take notes, t-shirts, hoodies, tank tops, tapestries, phone cases, all of it available at Barrel House Podcast /merch. So if you want to represent this tremendous shit show, you should do that. Mashed potatoes for me, chop them up, boil them, butter. I like butter and a little cream, just a little cream, a little bit of cheese, garlic, chive, fork mash. I want them chunky. I like chunks in my mashed potatoes. Piper says dirty, chunky, mashed. Exactly. Let me see if I can do this. Let me see if I can put this link in the chat without screwing anything up. Do you ever make them, Lindsay? Oof. Swallowed my own saliva wrong. What do you do to make them creamy? I mean, I feel like as long as there's butter and cream in them, I'm fine with however else you do. I do prefer fork mashed over a mixer. I don't like most things with an overly soft texture. I like a little bit of chunkiness to pretty much everything. A little bit of bite to the texture. I'm not a huge fan of anything that's super, super smooth. So I am not a turkey or a prime rib Christmas person. My family typically is either, I mean, I remember in years past we were Christmas ham people. But the last few years, just because of family preferences and my mom's ability to make the absolute best, we are beef stroganoff for Christmas. I love beef stroganoff. Definitely not turkey. Turkey gets its day on Thanksgiving. If I had to choose between turkey and prime rib, it would totally be prime rib. I don't need 2 turkey holidays in a row. Turkey is the worst part of Thanksgiving. I don't need it on Christmas also. I mean, I like turkey, but it's not the reason I like Thanksgiving. So the best part of turkey is the stuffing. 1,000%. Are you, your friends and you, Lindsay says, all right, I was just going to ask, where she said her friends and her are split between turkey and prime rib. I was just about to ask which one you were on. You are a prime rib person. That's fancy as fuck. But definitely anything but turkey. I think traditionally though, it's like Christmas ham. Isn't that like the traditional thing is Christmas ham? Thanksgiving turkey, Christmas ham. I'm pretty sure ham is like the Christmas meat typically. I think beef stroganoff is far superior to ham or turkey. I think even, yeah, Easter is definitely ham also. Right? I think Easter is normally ham for everybody else too, right? Stuffing is the best. Stuffing is the best part. The only problem with Thanksgiving is there's never enough stuffing. You could put me in front of a 5-quart bowl of stuffing and I would eat all of it. You give me stuffing and gravy and I am all set for forever. It's all I ever want is good stuffing and gravy. My mom makes spectacular beef stroganoff. I could eat it really anytime. Like this year I ate too much beef stroganoff at dinner to feel good. And my mom sent me home with leftovers and like 4 hours later I was eating the cold beef stroganoff out of my refrigerator because I didn't have the willpower to not leave it until tomorrow, the next day. So I was just pounding cold beef stroganoff out of a Tupperware container at like 11 o'clock at night in front of the TV because it was at my house and I needed to eat it. wish I had pizza right now. I'm not even hungry. I just wish I had a pizza. I put this arm here because I used to use this mic up here. But it was good enough for a stream. When I started posting these for the audio only podcast, the sound quality wasn't great, and I pride myself on solid sound quality. And so I put this mic here on the arm, and this mic sounds considerably better than this overhead deal does. But I keep smacking shit into the arm because I'm not used to it being here yet. So I apologize for the constant clinking. I'll get used to it, I promise. I like this song. This song's a banger. That's what the kids say these days, right? It's a banger. I don't know, Lindsay, you're the kid here of the group. Is this a banger? Song slaps. Yeah, you're right. This song does slap. Banger is out. Man, what? I'm so old. I should just give up. Ugh. Fire is young. I don't know. I feel like I was saying fire in high school, right? Maybe? I don't know. I don't know when I became totally out of touch with stuff, but it happened at some point, and I'm very out of touch now. I'm really looking forward to the next live stream. Unless it falls apart like last time, because life. The next live stream should be with a guest, and I'm very excited because I have a lot of fun with that guest. He's a menace, he's a bad influence, and I'm looking forward to doing it. Lindsay, you're the young one. Is fire still in? Is fire still good, or is that no good? Is slaps still the thing? I feel like slaps has been around for a long time too. Are you out of touch too, Lindsay, or is slaps just hanging in there? I think 2 cigars in a week is too much. I think there's a reason I don't do this very often. I'm gonna feel smoky tomorrow. You can tell already. But I'll get so I won't get a funny look if I say fire, but I'll get a funny look if I say it's a banger. Banger will get a funny look now still. Really? I feel like banger is newer than fire. Maybe? I don't know. Ugh, I've never felt so old as I do right this exact second. Where'd I put? Oh, there it is. There it is. I don't know why. I have this weird habit where I have to light the band, my cigar band, on fire and see how far it burns. It never burns more than like halfway, but I always have to do it. Yeah, that one burned like a third. It's a bummer. It's habit. I don't know. I'm a pyro at heart, I guess. I have a monitor here and I have a monitor here. And when I look up this way and I can see myself from the profile, I got a wicked flat dome. Look at this right here. Looks like a brick landed on my head at some point. Look at that thing. Woof. Can you, can you all tell? No. Maybe a little bit right here. You can kind of see a little bit. If I got closer to the camera, you'd be able to tell how blown out my face is from deadlifts today. I look ridiculous. Let me see. I'm going to get closer to the camera. Sorry, audio listeners. This is like the 37th video only bit here, but my face is ridiculous right now from deadlift blood vessel destruction. Let me try. I don't know if you're gonna be able to see it. I'm gonna try. You see that? It's like I got sandblasted. It does taste really good. I'm really impressed with how well this setup held up without any extra work here. I thought for sure I'd have issues. I had issues in the last computer getting it all set up. How much did I lift? My max deadlift is 705 pounds. Today I did 635 for 4. And the fourth one was a bit of a struggle. Here you can see please do. Hopefully kissing it, making it feel better will make it go away. Let's see how this works. One, 2, 3. Fourth one was a bit ugly, but here it is. I bow to your excellence, Lindsay. What, a 706-pound deadlift at, well, I'm gonna guess like 100 pounds, 100 5 pounds body weight. That's impressive. I actually have no idea. I have no idea. I've never seen you in person. I have no idea how big you actually are. I don't know how tall you are. Certainly less than half my body weight, for sure. A good bit less. So that 706 is impressive. If this front part of my head were a little bit pointier, I'd have a bit of a rhino thing going on. Eight feet tall. Damn. So that's a lot of range of motion for your deadlift. Do you sumo or conventional? This is where everybody checks out. Me talking fake lifting talk with Lindsay. You're tall though, right? You're like 5'10" or 5'8" or something, right? I don't know. Yeah, I knew you were fairly tall. 5'7", 5. I thought you were 5'8" or something. 5'7" is still pretty tall. That's still a fair range of motion to have to deal with. Oh, please. Amanda, I'm not that cute. I'm just drinking my coffee. Y'all, I only have 90 minutes left before I'm officially over the hill. $96 minutes left, to be fair. And then it's all over. It's all downhill from there. Lindsay, I told Ariana that you committed the both of you to do a live stream. You've made the commitment. Yes, tomorrow is my birthday, Lindsay. It's all over. I've hit the end of my rise up in life, and it's all on the decline from here. I'm on the back. I think I'm like officially middle-aged. I think I've officially hit middle age. 70 is about life expectancy, right? This coffee cup is empty. That's not okay. I still have 10 glasses of whiskey in front of me that all have whiskey in them. Those are all getting dumped down the drain. There's no chance. There's no way. I don't even want to finish this beer. I'm so full. This beer was so heavy. I was gonna do a most disappointing whiskey of the year category, but there was like 3 in close contention and I couldn't decide, so I didn't do it. I was gonna do like a triple runner up here, or like split it 3 ways, but I didn't do that. I didn't want to have to talk about 3 more whiskeys, but the more I think about it, if I had to pick just one, that's a very tough question that I asked myself since nobody else did. It might either be the B521 Elijah Craig, which was still very good, but compared to last year's B batch was not even close. I think I would actually, if I had to pick just one, it would be this Blood Oath. This Blood Oath pack number 7 for the camera. It's I mean, it's not a bad bottle, but considering it's one of 3,000 bottles and it's so readily found for 5 or 6 times MSRP, it really was just fine. It wasn't. Did have like a raw chocolate chip cookie dough thing going on that was kind of nice, but it it fell short of expectations for sure. All right. Beer's gone. Coffee's gone. Cigar's almost gone. I think that means I have to thank my patrons one more time. Everyone who supports the show over at www.patreon.com/ oh, that's not how you spell Barrel House. Barrel House. For making the show possible. It really, I mean, I know people ask, a lot of people ask how helpful Patreon really is. I know that's a crazy, people, you may be listening to this thinking that nobody asks that, but people really do ask what that looks like. And Patreon is like a tip jar. Think of it like a tip jar for the show. Sure, Patreon takes their cut. It is a large cut, but it is still just a cut. But, you know, when my last computer went down and I needed to replace it with this fine machine that is running right now, Patreon paid for a lot of that. The bulk of these whiskeys, Patreon made this possible. So Patreon helps a lot. So I need to thank everybody over at patreon.com for throwing a little bit my way every month, keeping the show going. Especially, like I said before, our Whiskey Legend tier patrons, Greg, Katie, Lauren, and Joe. For people always ask, not this Joe. I don't pay myself. I don't know who Joe is, but Joe, for making the show possible. So thanks everybody very much for making it all possible. It goes a super long way, and without you, the show would not be possible. The lights are on because of you. Take care, Lindsay. I am also out. That is the end of the show tonight. So, I love you all. Thanks for stopping in. I hope you all have a terrific night. What's left of it, even though it is quite late. And I will see you all next time. Slanjva. The Barrel House is written, produced, and hosted by Joe Kane, and it's a proud member of the Earglue Media Network. Views and opinions expressed on this show belong only to the mouth they came out of. And as always, please remember to drink responsibly. Slanjva.